Hey everyone. I want to jump on today and talk about our nervous system and how to regulate it. So I'm coming on and I am presenting to you Miss Grace Glamour and Grit, and that's the MS Grace Glamour and Grit YouTube channel. And then Awareness Month for MS on the Facebook channel. My name is Roxanne Marion, and I wanted to talk to you about how you can regulate your nervous system. Now, I want to give the disclaimer again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. I am simply coming on talking from my experiences, things that I've done, things that I've seen, and things that I've heard over 23 years of having MS. So let's get started. First, we know that multiple sclerosis is it it I don't know why I'm blocking on the word I want to say, but it affects the nervous system, the central nervous system, your brain and your spine. So when I found this list of how to regulate your nervous system, I kind of thought, really, let's see if there are things that we often talk about on here as opposed to some things we might be able to add to what we do to take care of ourselves. That's self-care and healthiness that we're trying to get to. So there were four things that we've talked about on here, we talk about often, that were also on this list, and that was to get a good night's sleep. We already know that getting 8 hours or more of sleep is going to help benefit your body, and it's a peace of mind because we need to rest. Something I probably shouldn't be telling you today because I did not sleep last night, had a bit of insomnia, but we'll take care of that again tonight. Um, a second one that we always go over is eating healthy, limiting your processed foods in your sugar intake. Also, we've talked about listening to music. That was one of the things because it can get you upbeat, hopefully get your body moving, and you're maybe even exercising when you're listening to that music. And last but not least, you should take time for yourself. Special activities, just setting aside time for yourself, whether or not it's self care, which it will be, but doing those activities that you enjoy and making sure that you keep up with the things that you love. Because when you do the things you love, that usually gives you energy, makes you happier, gives you joy, and does not put you in a mood where you might be depressed or anxious. So, some other things on here that I wanted to talk to you about because I've actually thought about some of these things and have a facility close to our in Charleston. It's actually in Mount, no, they do have one in Charleston and they have one in Mount Pleasant, and it's called Synchronicity. And they do one of the things on this list, which would be doing a cold plunge or chiro chirogenics, and you being able to dip in a cold bath of water. Bath. They actually have a large tub. It is cold, and you can dip in that ice cold water, or some other places have other ways that you can get your chiro chirogenics. Actually, they have two things. That's why I just thought they have the tub, and then they have a room that you can go to, and the air is below freezing. So I was like, wait a minute, I remember something else. But this is actually going to help with inflammation. Everything happens for a reason. I'm reading this list today, and I was listening to a book earlier, and she was talking about the cold plunge. And I was like, there has to be something to it. There has to be a reason why I've heard about it. And we know that inflammation affects us. And the only way to alleviate, not the only way, but one of the ways to alleviate it is to have this repair mechanism increase your ability to decrease your inflammation. Something else is getting out in nature. Also, ironically, I heard on the book that I listened to this morning, she reminded us that humans are animals, and we sometimes forget that. But to put yourself back out in nature and to be amongst, whether or not it be the water at the beach, the sand at the beach, the trees, grass, just to be outside. And the fact that it has your sunshine, which is going to help with your nervous system, but just a relaxation that your body feels again being outside. And guys, I'm not an outdoors person, but I will be honest with you. There's something different when you go outside. There's just this peace and serenity about it. Now, I feel that going out back and we live kind of in the middle of the woods. Of course, they're tearing it all down for all these neighborhoods, but to be out there and see all the trees and all the green against the blue skies, there's something about that. So to feel that serenity and know that it's kind of medicine to your nervous system, it helps. The next one is to be grounded. This is going to probably seem a little different, but to walk barefoot or to have a weighted blanket, both of which I do often. I use my weighted blanket, but I used to walk barefoot all of the time because I felt like it helped me with my balance. But now I'm thinking it might have been more of just feeling grounded, because it actually says that it relieves anxiety to to be barefoot and walk around. And when you think about it, for them to say it relieves anxiety, and you think of, you know, a baby when they're born, and the first the first thing you do when you're really excited that a baby can crawl. But when they start walking, they're walking usually without shoes and they're barefoot. And we're all, elated that they've learned to walk, but they don't need any assistance as far as, oh, we have to have the best shoes. We're always having our feet in these shoes and things are weighed down on us. It's just an easiness. And that might go back to why it's good for our nervous system to just walk barefoot. It's almost like that very same thing about being out in nature and the serenity, and that being the medicine for the nervous system. So definitely think on some of those things. Also, turn down the volume. It's so funny. No, she did not say this in the book earlier. I'm thinking it's funny because when I come into a space, especially my space here, and I start to settle in, the first thing I want to do is turn down some of the noise. And usually it's the television. But even if it's other people's television or the kids playing in the house and not using the indoor voice, you just want the noise to come down. And that actually activates a part of your para, It says something here. In your nervous system, it activates a part of you to bring down the noise. Okay. And I'm thinking, as you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, yes, it does. You always notice when you walk into a room, maybe with an older person, sometimes with younger people, but you walk into the room and the TV is at a higher volume. And the first thing you go to do is turn down the TV because you in your state of most likely closer to being younger, you are just looking for that serenity again outdoors and things of that nature. So there's kind of a theme around this because it's talking about serenity, it's talking about feeling grounded, going back to a natural state. And it's not normal for us to hear all of that noise or those things that are so loud. Something else that is on here is actually the last one that's on here. And whether or not it's normal to everyone, it should be. And that would be a hug, a cuddle, an embrace, some form of touch that you have with someone else. When we were in COVID season or the pandemic, we talked about being isolated and how hard it was for everyone and how it hurt mental health so much. Part of that reason is because we didn't have human touch anymore. For those people who live by themselves and they just had to stay inside, and the only human contact they had was like you and me right here. That's not enough for us. That's not enough for us as humans. We need physical touch. Okay, so embracing people, holding hands with people, loving up on one another. This is something that is going to raise your endorphins and help the nervous system. So, all of these things that I've talked about today, in my eyes, and in my mind, takes it back to things that seem oh so simplistic, but we don't pay attention to it as much. Sometimes if we're at work all day, if you're at work, say 8 to 12 hours out of the day and you're inside the whole time, where's your connection with nature? Where's your serenity? When you are not grounded anymore and you feel anxious, and sometimes, again, I'm going to refer back to this book. She talks about being anxious because you're so worried about things that you cannot change. And she talks about coming back to mindfulness and taking note of the detail, the things that are right in front of you that you can change. And being grounded is supposed to relieve stress. And they were talking about a weighted blanket or having your feet on the ground, bare feet on the ground. Simplistic things that are going to make you recognize that detail, make you recognize the things that are important. So I'm going to go over this list again, just tell you you're going to want to connect with nature and think about getting out in the sun because it's medicine for your nervous system. Being grounded, your cold plunges, look into that. Turning down the volume, getting back to a normal state. Make time for space for yourself and self-care. Eat healthy, hugs and embraces, human touch. The music that can get you up, hype, and exercising, and a good night's sleep, which I promise to get tonight. When you see 4 o'clock in the morning and you've yet to close your eyes, you know it is not a good night's rest. You also know that it affects the way you are the next day. So I hope you guys get something out of this. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Please go ahead and leave it in the comments. If you have any suggestions or what you would like to see, let me know. So I will see you guys again tomorrow. Bye.